It was barely dawn when Tu Diep stood in the marketplace, her slender frame wrapped in the morning mist. In her hands, she carried a basket of pineapples, freshly cut from her modest farm. Her voice was soft, almost apologetic, as she whispered to strangers passing by. "Excuse me, sister, would you buy a bag? They're sweet, only 10,000 VND each." Some buyers stopped out of kindness, purchasing a fruit or two. Others offered her a polite smile before moving on. Each polite rejection pressed harder on her chest, because behind her weary smile was a truth invisible to those passers-by. She was carrying the weight of a debt over 1 million US dollars, a debt she never asked for, tied to a house that stood half-finished, a monument to broken promises. The night James disappeared, that unfinished house was supposed to be a dream, built brick by brick with her husband, James, a foreign CEO who once swept her into a whirlwind of plans, hope, and purpose. He had promised her a simple life in the countryside, a new start away from the noise of the city. Together, they had spoken of organic farming, carpentry workshops, and peaceful mornings where their daughter would grow up surrounded by trees and laughter. But one night, while the family slept, James boarded a flight under the cover of darkness. He left nothing behind except a short voicemail: "Don't worry. I'll call when I land." That call never came. No updates, no explanations, no answers, just silence, a mother's strength tested. On her way back from the market that morning, Tu Diep stopped by her mother-in-law's home. The elderly woman, sitting on the porch sipping tea, looked up with heavy eyes. "He left around 3 in the morning," the old woman murmured. "He told me to tell you not to worry. He'll call when he arrives." Tu Diep nodded, though her chest ached under the crushing weight of uncertainty. She tried to force a smile for her mother-in-law's sake. "It's okay, Mom," she said softly. "He said he'd be back. I just need to take care of things until then." But taking care of things meant more than words could ever cover. It meant managing a half-built house abandoned in the sun and rain. It meant running an overworked farm. It meant answering her daughter's endless, innocent questions: "Where's Daddy?" And it meant facing down a storm cloud of debt that loomed over her fragile life. A child by the roadside. That same afternoon, on a dusty roadside, Tu Diep stumbled upon a small girl, no older than 5. Her cheeks were streaked with tears and dirt. Her belly growled with hunger as she sobbed. "I'm waiting for my mom." The girl knew only her name, me, and her mother's name, but nothing else. No address, no family members to contact. Tu Diep brought the child to the local police station, but no one came forward. When asked where she wanted to go, the girl clung tightly to Tu Diep's hand and whispered words that pierced her heart. I want to go with you. Despite the crushing burdens she already bore, Tu Diep couldn't walk away. She brought me home, promising to care for her until her family could be found, building a new kind of family. From that day forward, Tu Diep's world grew by one fragile soul. Alongside her own daughter, she now had another child to love and protect. Together, the three of them harvested melons from the fields, sold fruits at the market, and shared simple meals by candlelight in their tiny cottage. She showed me how to tell when melons were ripe, how to slice vegetables without cutting herself, and how to stretch every coin until it lasted. At night, they lay side by side, whispering secrets in the dark, finding comfort in each other's presence. Sometimes, me would whisper through tears, "I miss my mum." Tu Diep would stroke her hair and reply softly, "I know, sweetheart. But for now, you have me." In her heart, Tu Diep knew the feeling all too well. She too was missing someone, someone who had once promised to be there forever, only to vanish into the night. The house that never became a home, the half-finished house remained a wound in the landscape, its foundation exposed to sun and rain. Rusting tools and bricks sat untouched in the yard. It was a shell of the dream James had once painted for her, a vision of prosperity, comfort, and permanence. Villagers whispered as she walked by. Some pitied her, some mocked her, others accused James outright of running away to avoid the loans. "See," they muttered, "she married a rich foreigner and still ended up with nothing but debt." But Tu Diep never responded. She just kept walking, kept harvesting, kept paying bills. Kept being a mother. That was all she could do. A promise from a child. One evening, after a long day in the fields, little me looked up at her and said with innocent determination, "When I grow up, I'll help you pay back the money." Tears welled in Tu Diep's eyes. She pulled the girl close and whispered, "No, sweetheart. I don't need you to pay back anything. Just grow up kind and happy, that's more than enough." In that moment, Tu Diep realized something profound. Though her house stood unfinished, her home was already complete. It was built not of bricks, but of laughter, warmth, and love. Choosing life over despair. Maybe one day James would return. Maybe he hadn't meant to leave for good. Maybe he was still trying to fix things from afar. But whether he came back or not, Tu Diep had stopped waiting in despair. She was living. She was loving. She was raising not one but two daughters who trusted her, who looked at her with hope. And in the silence James left behind, Tu Diep found her own voice, strong, unwavering, and full of life. The $1 million house might never be finished. But the home she built, woven with resilience, compassion, and fierce love, was far more real than any structure could ever be.